Imagine this, you're in a swanky high-rise conference room, overlooking the glittering skyline of Dubai. A group of sharp-suited executives from a massive oil conglomerate are sealing a $100 million deal with a team of American investors. Tensions are high, voices raised in a heated argument over contract terms. Suddenly, the door bursts open, and in walks a young woman in a greasy pizza delivery uniform, balancing a stack of boxes. The room falls silent, then erupts in mocking laughter. Who ordered pizza during negotiations? This isn't a frat party, one exec sneers. But what happens next will leave you speechless. Stick around till the end because this isn't just a story, it's a reminder that heroes come in all forms. If you love underdog tales that hit you right in the feels, smash that like button and subscribe for more inspiring stories that prove appearances can be deceiving. Let's dive in. Her name was Aisha Rahman, a 24-year-old immigrant from a small village in Lebanon. She had arrived in Dubai 2 years ago with nothing but a backpack, a dream of a better life, and a fierce determination to support her family back home. Aisha's father had been a teacher, instilling in her a love for languages and stories. But war had torn their world apart, forcing her to flee. Now, she worked double shifts, mornings at a cafe, evenings delivering pizzas on her beat-up scooter. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills, and more importantly, it kept her little brother in school and her mother's medical treatments going. That fateful evening started like any other. Aisha's phone buzzed with an order, 10 large pizzas to the 45th floor of the Burj Al Khalifa Tower. Extra cheese, no pork, the note read. She loaded up, navigated the chaotic traffic, and rushed into the lobby, her hijab slightly askew from the wind. The security guard eyed her suspiciously but let her through after checking the delivery app. As the elevator dinged open, she could hear muffled shouts from the conference room down the hall. Inside, the atmosphere was electric, and not in a good way. The American team, led by a no-nonsense CEO named Mark Thompson, was butting heads with Sheikh Khalid Al Mansour, the head of the UAE-based oil firm. The deal involved investing in sustainable energy tech to transition from oil dependency, a $100 million handshake that could reshape the region's economy. But a language barrier was derailing everything. The interpreter had fallen ill last minute, and the backup was stuck in traffic. Miscommunications flew like daggers. Mark insisted on immediate implementation clauses, but Sheikh Khalid heard it as a demand for rushed, risky changes. Accusations of bad faith escalated. This is unacceptable. We're walking away, Mark barked, slamming his folder shut. That's when Aisha knocked timidly and entered, pizza boxes in tow. The room froze. Mark's assistant, a smug young man named Tyler, burst out laughing. Great timing. The pizza girl's here to save the day. Snickers rippled through the American side. One woman whispered loudly, "Does she even speak English? Look at her uniform, probably can't afford a real job." Sheikh Khalid's team exchanged uncomfortable glances, but a few joined in the mockery, relieved for a break from the tension. Aisha's cheeks burned under her hijab. She was used to it, the stares, the assumptions. Being a delivery girl in a city of luxury meant constant reminders that she was less than. But tonight, something inside her snapped. She set the boxes down carefully, her hands trembling not from fear, but from a quiet rage. As she turned to leave, she overheard Sheikh Khalid muttering in Arabic to his aide, "These Americans think they can bully us. If they don't clarify the environmental safeguards, the deal is off. Tell them we're not signing until it's in writing, properly translated." The aide nodded, but Mark interrupted, demanding to know what was said. "What's the holdup? We need transparency here." Aisha paused at the door. She could walk away, collect her tip, and forget this humiliating encounter. But her father's voice echoed in her mind, "Knowledge is power, Habibti. Use it to lift others." Taking a deep breath, she turned back. "Excuse me," she said in flawless English, her accent a melodic blend of Lebanese warmth. The room went quiet. I couldn't help but overhear. If you'll allow me, I can translate. Tyler scoffed. You? A pizza delivery girl? No offense, but this is a multi-million-dollar deal, not a takeout order. Aisha met his gaze steadily. No offense taken. But I've spoken Arabic since birth, and English since I was 5. I also know French and a bit of Mandarin from online courses. Try me. Sheikh Khalid raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Very well, young lady. Translate this. We require assurances that the technology will not harm our desert ecosystems. The contract must include independent audits. Aisha repeated it perfectly in English, adding nuances that captured the sheikh's concern for his homeland's fragile environment. Mark's eyes widened. That's exactly what we've been trying to say. Our tech includes built-in safeguards. Let's review the clause. What followed was nothing short of miraculous. Aisha sat at the table, still in her uniform, a slice of pizza forgotten beside her, and bridged the gap. She didn't just translate words, she conveyed emotions, cultural subtleties, and intentions. When Mark grew frustrated over a profit-sharing detail, Aisha explained in Arabic how it aligned with Islamic principles of fair trade, easing Sheikh Khalid's doubts. When the sheikh worried about job losses in oil sectors, she relayed Mark's vision of retraining programs, painting a picture of hope for workers like her own family. But as the negotiations deepened, Aisha's own story began to unravel. During a break, Sheikh Khalid asked her gently, "How did a woman like you end up delivering pizzas?" Tears welled in her eyes as she shared her past, the bombs that destroyed her village, the loss of her father in the chaos, her mother's illness from the stress. "I came here for a fresh start," she said, voice cracking. "But every day, people see only this uniform. They don't see the girl who taught herself coding at night or the one who dreams of starting a translation app for refugees." Mark listened, his tough exterior softening. He had his own relatable struggles, a single dad raising a daughter after his wife's passing, fighting corporate ladders that undervalued empathy. "I get it," he admitted. "I started as a mechanic before climbing up. People mocked me too." Tyler, the smug assistant, shifted uncomfortably, his privileged background suddenly feeling shallow. Challenges mounted. Midway through, a storm hit Dubai, knocking out power briefly. In the dim emergency lights, doubts crept in. Sheikh Khalid's aide whispered that trusting a stranger was risky. What if she misrepresented terms? Aisha felt the weight of suspicion, her imposter syndrome flaring. "Why am I here?" she thought. "I'm just a delivery girl." But then she remembered her brother, back home, idolizing her resilience. She pushed on, resolving the final hurdle, a clause on cultural sensitivity training. Her perfect Arabic sealed it, turning potential conflict into mutual respect. By dawn, the deal was signed, a $100 million pact that would create thousands of green jobs, protect the environment, and foster international ties. As confetti, metaphorical, of course, rained down in handshakes, Sheikh Khalid turned to Aisha. "You didn't just save a deal, you saved our dignity." He offered her a job on the spot as a cultural liaison, with a salary that would change her life. Mark pulled her aside. "Kid, you're a natural. Here's my card, call if you ever need anything." Even Tyler mumbled an apology, his mockery replaced by admiration. Aisha walked out of that tower not as a delivery girl, but as a hero. She quit her pizza job that week, started her translation app with seed funding from the sheikh, and sent money home to bring her family to Dubai. Her story spread like wildfire, news outlets called it the pizza miracle. And here's the inspiring message, folks, never judge a book by its cover. In a world quick to mock the underdog, remember that true strength lies in kindness, knowledge, and perseverance. Aisha's journey shows that one act of courage can rewrite your destiny and inspire others. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, it helps spread these tales of triumph. And subscribe now so you don't miss the next one. Who knows? The next hero might be you. Thanks for watching, see you in the comments. Word count, 1248. Wait, the user asked for 1800, let me expand with more emotional depth. Let's rewind a bit to build that emotional core. Back in Lebanon, Aisha's childhood was idyllic until it wasn't. She recalled nights under the stars, her father reciting poetry in Arabic, teaching her the beauty of words. Languages connect souls, he'd say. But when conflict erupted, their home was reduced to rubble. Aisha, just 18, carried her injured mother across borders, her brother clutching her hand. The trauma lingered, nightmares of explosions, the guilt of surviving when her father didn't. In Dubai, isolation hit hard. Friends were scarce, deliveries were her only human contact. One key challenge, balancing work with self-doubt. After a particularly rough day, customers yelling about late orders, Aisha would cry in her tiny apartment, questioning her worth. "Am I invisible?" she'd whisper. That night in the tower amplified it. The mockery stung like salt in old wounds. But resolving it came from within. She channeled her father's lessons, turning vulnerability into power. When translating, she shared a personal anecdote about her village's ruined wells, mirroring the environmental concerns, making the abstract real and emotional. Post-deal, the resolution deepened. Reuniting with her family was tear-jerking, her mother's hug, her brother's awe. Aisha's app, Bridgewords, helped refugees worldwide, turning her pain into purpose. Expanding on characters, Sheikh Khalid, a widower, saw his late daughter in Aisha's spirit, motivating his generosity. Mark's daughter, inspired by the story, pursued linguistics. Tyler? He volunteered at immigrant centers, redeeming his arrogance. The pace flows, hook grabs you, build-up introduces stakes and backstory, climax resolves the deal with emotional peaks, resolution inspires.